Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert Thompson-Eshun. I'm a final year pharmacy student at St. John's University. Basically, I want to say that I got a dean's list, which was pretty interesting because I got to the point in pharmacy school where I really stopped focusing on grades as much as I used to do, and I really just focused on actually studying or actually doing things outside of school, as you guys can see with my YouTube channel and the build up of my website now, which I think is pretty interesting because now that I'm actually studying less, I've actually got better grades, and I've actually got put on the dean's list. So this video is going to be a lot different because I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I think about studying versus how I used to study. And I think I'm going to just focus on the way I study now as opposed to the way I used to study. And hopefully that will help you guys also, do very well in school and also have more time on your hands to actually do things like things I'm doing now, which I really, really enjoy. But one thing I will say is, though, before I get into this video, is that I think the fact that I'm doing a lot more things that I actually really, really enjoy besides just studying, I think it actually paid a large dividend to how I got these good grades now and got put on Dean's List. So I think it's very important to understand that as well. But let's get right into this video. So the first thing I actually learned from my whole journey of studying and where I'm at right now is that I figured out ways in which I can study differently than the normal just do this, and follow the teacher. And I figured out ways outside of studying in order to think about studying. So the first one I talk about is the Pareto Principle, which I talked about previously in an old video. But basically it's figuring out the 20% of things that are important that's going to actually categorize 80% of the exam grade. So the major thing I think about sometimes is when you get a PowerPoint that's literally 100 to maybe 150 slides, and you understand that maybe only 5 to 10 questions on the actual exam is going to come from this exact thing, and that's way less than 20% of the entire thing. So figuring out what is the actually the 20% that he's actually going to test you on or she's going to test you on is very important. And I think the only way you really can understand this concept is by building the intuition, building that test-taking skill set that you actually need to actually understand the concepts better. What I like to do sometimes when I used to have exams, when I really didn't know what to study, I would literally just have a dialogue with my teacher, just to ask him yo, what do you think I need to study, or what's the most important key concepts I should know, so that way I can actually study more intensely and actually focus a little better. That was the most important thing for me. So the second major concept I want to talk about is studying with interest, because I remember in school I would constantly try to find ways in which I can change my mindset about studying so that I could actually study for a long period of times, that I actually enjoy the process a little better. So I remember when someone told me about the concept of okay, I get to study as opposed to I have to study. And I remember that worked at first. I was oh, I'm so fortunate the fact that I'm able to actually study pharmacy school as opposed to a lot of other people, don't have the ability to actually learn these different things and actually get a doctorate degree in pharmacy. So that helped me out for a short term. But then eventually that, the motivation just wore off. So for me, it was when I changed my mindset about it into, okay, I can study with interest. So what I used to do was tell myself, okay, why am I interested in this? Why is it interesting to know? And I think when I thought about it that way, it helped me out a lot, because instead of looking at it like I get to study, I was okay, if I'm a patient, how can I help this person? I used to visualize the actual patient in front of me and visualize the case and be okay, this is a black African American male with diabetes and hypertension. What are the drugs I can give him for this? And I used to find new questions to ask myself constantly, to the point where I was making myself harder questions than the teacher was giving me. And I remember sometimes I would ask teachers some questions and they were surprised. They're you don't have to know all that. And I'm just no, I want to know. I'm interested, I'm very interested in learning this thing, because in case it does happen in the future, what am I going to do about it? And that overall just really helped me, because even when I had tests where I didn't do as well, I would talk to the teacher about some of the concepts and the way I thought about it. And they would sometimes even see me halfway there, that okay, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where that you got that ideology from, but it's the wrong answer, or it's not the correct answer. Because a lot of times I remember we had exams where there was usually around 2 answers, and sometimes they say pick the most correct answer. So to this day, sometimes some of the questions were kind of ambiguous, and there's no right or wrong answer sometimes. So that's where a lot of the times I got some points back on some exams, where usually it would just be a straight wrong question. And then the third concept I want to talk about in this video is basically I used to actually study the teacher / study the test obsessively. Like for me, I would actually like study the person that's giving me the exam. So I would look at the teacher and be like, okay, what does this person usually like to test on? Do they like to test on the actual contraindications, the mechanism of action? Do they like testing on the therapeutic uses of it, you know? And then knowing those things about the person, or like what they're researching, or like stuff like that, like knowing the person very well allowed me to actually focus by studying a little bit better, even after having dialogue with them. And then the second part of that is I used to study the test obsessively. So like, for example, if we had a 40 question test, I would make sure I had like into 4 sections, 10 questions for each section, and then I would go to the library and study those like just 40 questions in one sitting. And I used to have like 200, 300 flashcards, so then I would break it up. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna study these 40 questions for about an hour and 30 minutes, just like the test time. I'll study for just that time period, and then I'll go to the next set, and then I will study the next 40 questions from each of the 4 sections, and then another hour, 30 minutes time frame. And I think when I got to that point of like studying just like it was like an actual exam, I took it a lot more seriously. And my flashcards reflected that. So like I actually was like studying basically like the exam. So when the test came, it became a lot easier because like all the like outside conditions of a test didn't really frighten me as much, and I became very, very comfortable taking exams, especially because I was able to understand the teacher. I was spending time actually focusing on the most important material, and the fact was that like I was basically putting myself in a situation where I was studying just like it was an actual test, you know, like practicing just like the actual game. So when the game came, it was just like practice to me. I even had harder questions for myself because I was studying with interest. So everything was setting myself up for this achievement right now. And then the last thing I will say is that I focused on the actual process over the results. This is something that I don't talk about enough, but I wish I did. And this is something that like a lot of people should focus on, you know. Like for me, I figured out different processes that would help me, different systems that would help me. Like I said in my video, so I used to focus on, did I actually study for 2-3 hours every day? Did I actually go through a flashcard set? Do I actually understand the material going on? Like, do I actually understand things I can control? And then the results will always show up for themselves. Like for me, I didn't really care about the actual grades after I got above a C, you know. Like after that, I don't really, you know, care. Like getting good grades is fine, that's cool, but if I pass the class, that's good for me. So for me, it was just like, if I understand material and I pass the class, that's perfect. That's all I need to do. I don't have to focus on anymore on getting that A. That I don't really care about getting between a B plus and an A. For me, it was more just the point that if I understand material, if I'm actually in front of a patient, can I actually talk to the patient and do things the correct way to get them the best possible care possible. So I think focusing on the actual process is way more important, and then the grades will eventually show up. You know, when you focus on the small little habits and things here and there, those small things that you do consistently over time, it will pay off in compound interest, and that will actually end up getting you the results that you're looking for. And that's where I think I've shown my achievement from that process. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want to make any other videos for you guys that are very important for you about studying. And see you next time. Peace out. Bye.